In the transposition of needles of the force on physical substances, like the snowflake, from parallel polarity to mixed or transverse positions, are produced all kinds of colours. It is an error to say wave of light or bent ray of light, or that a given number of vibrations or undulations produce different colours of light. There is neither wave nor undulation. In fact, needles are arbitrary and cannot be bent. Compare a needle to a transparent glass crystal. Place a given number of these end to end, touching and in a line. To bend this line is impossible, save at angles, for where every two ends join there will be an angle. Be the needles ever so short, there will be no bend in fact, but a succession of arbitrary lines and elbows. Such is not, however, the juxtaposition, save when they are in a line direct. Otherwise, the ends of the needles do not bend like joints, but each one turns more or less on its own axis. If they all turn, an apparent wave is produced, expressive of a certain colour. If part of them turn, another colour is produced. In proportion to this disturbance, so are the apparent vibrations slow or fast as to our observation. In regions of the Earth's atmosphere where they have cyclones, reddish lights appear in the firmament even before the cyclone manifests on the Earth, and these lights travel with the cyclones, manifesting great heat on the Earth. In the regions of monsoons a similar manifestation occurs, but generally with pink or bluish lights instead of red over the ocean, but if over land, a smoky atmosphere results. These colours and others manifest in the atmosphere are not confined to the Earth's stratum, but they extend even to the outer extreme of the Earth's force vortex. And in many instances they are so of a high altitude that their manifestations are imperceptible to mortal observation, save that, for example, the moon or sun shines less brightly. When one of these transpositions is dark and is high up in the atmosphere at night, they say the moon is surrounded by a haze. And yet, while the atmospheric stratum next to the Earth may be clear, the Earth's force vortex has millions of these strata and of various colours, shades and tints. In taking photographs of the moon or the sun, these often interpose, and the picture taken deceives the observer that lie has been made that a picture of the oxygen or hydrogen of the planet's atmosphere. The same state of affairs belongs also in the sun's force vortex, so that with these clouds of colour intervening in etheria, a telescope encounters much travail to get through. As a force vortex grows older, these disturbances, together with imperfect solutions of physical substance, become less frequent. So also in the early age of a force are they more frequent and of longer duration, so that at times a red light or a blue light or other colour will overspread the Earth for periods of 1,000 or more years without interruption, and in some cases darkness for as long as a period. Whatever living thing, as vegetation, trees and grasses and so on, were quickened into life during darkness, were without eyes. Nevertheless, on this day, even these things turn toward the light, as plants and flowers placed in a window will attest. Where prehistoric slime was quickened into life in higher times, it focalized toward the light, and this focus was called an eye. And such as were quickened into life and were attached to the earth by fibres or roots were called animals. The life they inherited gave power for them to go about from place to place. So great are the powers of the eyes of some animals that they can see and distinguish in the darkest of nights. Such eyes are absorbents of the power of the force, and they shine in the dark. Hence the first organs of sense created in any animal were the eyes, whereof it has been said, the eye is the seed of the tree of knowledge. The sight of the eye is the beginning of self-creation in acquiring knowledge. It goes forth and does staying at home at the same time. The sight of the eye is a miniature sun sending forth and receiving the power of the force at the same time, as may be proved by looking on the eyelids of a person sleeping who will awake because thereof. Since then the eye of man can go forth with intelligent power, controlling things, it has been concluded since thousands of years by the wisest philosophers that an all-seeing eye is the cause and creator of the whole universe, which is his person. In the first quickening of eyes, they partook of the colour of the force, lights at the time, and even so, at the same period of time, were coloured the skins of people, and according to their surroundings, some light, some dark, some red, or yellow, or copper-coloured. And all of them propagated after their own kind, and do so to this day. And though the blacks might live for thousands of generations with themselves only, in any country of the world, they would never become whites. And the same rule applies to whites and browns on all the races of man. But because they can mix, and because that mixture can propagate, all the races of man are one and the same in their origin and capabilities. Now, as previously stated, white things manufacture a white atmosphere about them, whilst black things do not, being negative. The white gives off a radiant light and power. The black is not radiant. The white man's radiating power recoils upon himself, and he suffers with heat. So also with the white bear. The black man and the black bear are the reverse.